Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I've got your very first gameplay and overview straight from the Line of Contact dev server for both the BMPT Terminator and the BMPT-72 Terminator 2. This vehicle is pretty much the same as your standard BMPT, although bear in mind, once it comes to the regular server, I believe it should weigh around 4 tons less. Also, it has 2 fewer crew members, but in theory, I believe its protection should at least be equivalent, if not slightly better, than what we see on the standard BMPT. Also, being that this is the dev server, if I have not already mentioned it, literally everything is subject to change. As you can see, half of the weapons on this aren't even modeled in properly. You only have one 30mm AG-30M grenade launcher and only 2 of these ATGM launchers that are actually modeled, even though these ones also work. So yeah, this is not a fully modeled vehicle, the BMPT, whereas the BMPT-72 is much more modeled. But otherwise, as you can see here, these have very similar weapons. They both have the same 9M120 ATGMs, both the standard and the HE variant, whereas they also both have the same exact double cannon, with just the 30mm APDS being the way to go if you want higher armor pen. They also have the same exact modules, the same exact level of thermals, which are Gen 3. So overall, this should be pretty good. Again, once the BMPT-2's, the 72 comes out in full, I believe it should weigh around 4 tons less than the standard BMPT. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that it should be. Again, literally everything is subject to change, so bear that in mind. So I said, let's go ahead and get into a few matches, see what we could do with this. I was going to do one match with the BMPT and one with the BMPT-72, but the problem with that is that the BMPT is so poorly modeled that its aim is far off. I mean, it is just terrible. This thing barely even works in the dev server, so the BMPT-72 actually does work pretty much in full, so we'll go ahead and use that even though one of the cannons is non-functional. But that said, let's get into it. Okay, so it looks like the laser rangefinder is not working, and like I said, only one of these cannons is firing, so I'm expecting that by the time the major update actually comes out, we will be getting a fully functional second cannon. Let's go ahead and see if we can actually hit this guy without even using the thing, and I was able to get a singular hit on him, which works for me. We're going to keep on moving up. Now, again, being that this is the dev server, unfortunately, we have basically only bots that we're going to be facing. So, as you can see here, everybody but 3 people on the enemy team are bots. So, we're not going to be facing a lot of regular players, but this is still a decent enough way to kind of get an idea for what you can kind of expect with this vehicle. Now, in general, it is fairly quick. I mean, it's not like very, very quick. This only has around 20-ish to 1 horsepower per ton power to weight ratio. A touch higher than that, maybe like, what, 21 to 1? So it's not very good insofar as, like, overall power to weight ratio is concerned, but it still pulls together pretty decently. Its reverse speed is awful, being that this is based on the T-72. It does have the same terrible reverse speed that you can pretty much expect with that sort of vehicle. I believe it's something like 4 kilometers per hour. Again, just tremendously bad. Okay, we have ourselves a critical hit against something. There's an enemy tank there. We got ourselves the kill against Frank. Some other tank here. Got another kill. Hopefully the enemy does not see me. Okay, smoke grenades work. Let's go ahead and test out this commander site. Commander site works. It has some nice thermals, just like the standard site, the gunner site. We're going to move up here. Again, even the laser rangefinder doesn't work on this, so there's still a decent ways to go before this thing is actually ready to see the light of day on the live server with the release of the major update. But thus far, it seems somewhat promising. Once we get those autocannons both working, I feel like that'll be really fun. Got ourselves a kill versus that LKV. Or LVKC, rather. Oh, there is their helicopter. I'm going to go ahead and launch on them. See if we can get ourselves a kill. Wouldn't that be something, huh? Not going to get the kill, but no biggie. All you have to do is really just kind of scare them, and that is what works. We're going to go ahead and wait over here. I do have the nice HE shell, so we're going to go ahead and fire on him one more time, see if we can maybe get this. This guy is a big scaredy cat for being in a helicopter on the dev server. But hey, that's what people do. Doesn't really matter. We can go ahead and just fire these at him. See if maybe we can get something. I know it is APDS, but that's totally fine. Oh, and by the way, if you couldn't tell, this does have IRST auto tracking. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the slower shots. You know what? Switch right back to the APDS. I want a higher chance of actually hitting. That would be really nice. This guy is firing on me, I think. Oh, we have an enemy tank over there. Doesn't really matter. It is the lowly Stridsvagen M31. Which, by the way, I mean, it's a cool tank. When I say lowly, I don't mean it's like, oh, this is garbage. It was a cool tank for its time. But that's kind of the key term there. For its time. I think we're having a 2S38 coming up here on the left. Perhaps, perhaps not. We have an enemy over there. I can see him. Can sniff him out. And we're going to get the kill with the standard shots. Okay, we have an enemy tank there. Got ourselves the kill. Gonna keep on moving. Thus far, I mean, it's not a bad vehicle by any means. I feel like we're gonna have an actual tank here. Maybe not. Thus far, again, it's not a bad tank by any means. Although, I feel like its standard 30mm ammo is not very good. Though, of course, anyone could really have made that kind of that judgment, because in truth, it's kind of obvious. I mean, with the APDS, you're only getting 82mm of armor pen, which really, I mean, at this BR, I don't want to say the word insufficient, but it's pretty damn close. Now, the thing that really kind of steps up for it is the fact that it does have the very nice ATGMs. You can fire 4 of them. But in reality, I mean, one could definitely make the argument that the BMP-4M, or the BMP-2M, rather, is a better vehicle than this. Now, whether or not that's true, I'm not entirely sure. This is definitely going to be a much better armored vehicle than the BMP, but in general, again, it's still not incredibly impressive insofar as its armament is concerned. It's certainly good, but it's not so good where I'm, like, wowed by it. Oh, we have ourselves a kill, got an ammo explosion via these, APHE or APT shells, so not too bad. I'm going to keep on moving up. I'm going to probably need some ammunition soon. I'm kind of screwing myself over here. But in general, I kind of feel like this is a pretty interesting vehicle. We have ourselves 11 kills, which is nice. Going to go back to the base to see if I can perhaps not die here. Okay, got ourselves another lowly World War II. I mean, these aren't even really World War II tanks we're facing, right? Like, for the most part, what normally happens in these matches, you're facing World War II and, like, early Cold War era tanks. But for whatever reason, in this match, we are not fighting any of those. We are just facing pretty much interwar tanks. So it's not really all too much of a challenge for me. But, as you can see, I mean, still the mobility is quite good on this. Not fantastic. It'll be decent enough, I feel like, but it's like, it's nothing really to write home about. Unless, again, you can remove that 4 tons of weight, which is what I read when I researched this vehicle pretty briefly. But if that ends up actually being the case, where this thing should have 4 tons of weight removed, you are going to look at a pretty decent, not amazing, but decent enough increase to power-to-weight ratio. Oh, so this is interesting. At the cap, I cannot... Oh, okay, it did just reload my APDS. Okay, for a second there, I thought it wouldn't. But being that this is an ATGM, it does carry the movable ammo ammo rack that you can have, the reloading station, whatever it is that you want to call it, which is pretty interesting. Okay, we got killed there, but I at least managed to fire upon him. You know what? Let's just, out of craps and giggles, get into the standard BMPT, and I'll show you exactly what I mean by saying that this thing is currently not functional in-game. So, I didn't set the whatchamacallit, and as you can see, I mean, it is aiming way too high. And, as you can see, it does actually have functional grenade launchers, despite the fact that, again, one of them is not modeled in the actual game. They do function. At least one of them functions. Should be both. Yeah, there we go. It's both of them that are functioning. So we have ourselves a type something or the other over here. He definitely sniffs me out. We have ourselves a hit. I'm not even able to aim on this guy, so if I can get the kill, I will be very impressed. Nope, he got the kill on me. Like I said, this vehicle is a bit broken. So, that said, let's just get into one more real quick match with the BMPT-2. See how it is again, but I don't really think all too much is going to change. I'm kind of impressed by it thus far, but in reality, again, the BMP-2M, it might be a touch better. It might be a touch better, especially with this 30mm APDS FS. But, of course, the BMPT-72, it does have that movable ammo rack, plus it is way better armored, like way better armored. That's the selling point, I feel like, on this vehicle. Okay, we have an enemy tank out there. Let's see if I can snipe him. Ooh, we got the kill, though at loss to my own tank, but we got the kill, and that is what matters. And that's, I think, how this vehicle is going to work, right? Of course, you can make the same, you can say that much the same with, like, the BMP-2M, for example, how that thing is probably best off at range with the ATGMs, although, of course, they can be used at any range. And the cannons themselves are better used at close range, though you could definitely say that the cannons on the cannon on the BMP-2M is a bit more effective, again, due to that APDS FS round that I can carry as opposed to just the straight up APDS that this thing has. So, we are going to keep on moving on here. Now, one thing that you're going to want to bear in mind is that this vehicle does not have any sort of... Okay. Ooh, I survived that with barely any damage. This thing does not have any sort of, I think, like, second racks, I guess you could say. So, like, you can't just kind of automatically reload with internal ammo your ammo racks, which really, really sucks. And you can only carry one ammo rack of the APDS, which, again, sucks. Also, being that this is an ATGM carrier, at least currently that's how it's classified, you cannot scout with it. Even though it feels like you might want to be able to scout with it, you cannot. Which, again, kind of sucks. But it does have a good amount of grenades, being that you can use basically 6 charges of them, being that there are 2 per charge, and you have 12 total grenades, which means, 12 divided by 2, you get, of course, 6. So we're going to move up here, see what we could do. But thus far, again, pretty impressed with this thing. I mean, it's not like blowing me away. This thing is not as good, at least when it first came out, the BMP-2M, especially once it gained the APF or the APDS FS shells, which is, yes, that's how it's technically classified in-game. So this is not going to be as dominant as that. I feel like, again, it's going to be pretty... Wait, we have a... Wait. Oh! Yep. It's going to make a pretty strong use case, in my opinion. I'm just going to get into the Strela so I don't die exactly. But you're going to be able to make a pretty strong use case, at least in my mind, for the survivability factor of the BMP, or the BMTP, or the BMPT. I feel like in that way it will be a fairly powerful vehicle. I feel like it will be a very good overall vehicle, whereas the standard, the BMP-2M, for example, really has no survivability. That thing is offense, offense, offense. The BMPT is going to be a much more well-balanced vehicle. It's not going to have quite the showiness of the BMP-2M. However, it will have your survivability being a lot better. Arguably, I mean, it depends on how that second cannon ends up working. It might even have a better second cannon. I'm just going to get out of this. I don't know why I got into the Strela. Actually, I do know why. And there we go. So let's... He didn't even need to get nearby. He still has 1 AGM left. That sucks. Okay, this guy is the... whatchamacallit, is still above me. So this is going to suck a little bit. So hopefully the AGM or the F-15 no longer has any more AGMs. I doubt that's going to be the case. But in general, do I like this vehicle? Yes, I feel like it'll be a fairly well-balanced vehicle, a fairly good vehicle. I feel like you're going to need a team around it. This is not going to be something that necessarily you can just kind of charge into the enemy with. But at the same time, I feel like it's something that you can feel a lot more confident in, being that it will be pretty fairly well armored, being that it has relic ERA. It's going to have a pretty good power to weight ratio. Nothing fantastic, but if the premium version does end up getting that 4-ton weight reduction, you can expect that. Plus, fact of the matter is that it should have pretty good internal crew, I guess, safety, if you will, right? Like with spall liners and whatnot, which at 10.3 BR might be quite good. Is this going to be overpowered? I don't really know off the top of my head, but I feel like some people might think it is, some people won't. Really depends on there's the final AGM 65D. Why are you going into the dev server with those? Any hoodles, doesn't really matter. I died. That's on me. But that said, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. I think it's a pretty interesting vehicle. I feel like it's going to be a good vehicle. Whether or not it's going to be amazing, I'm not sure. Also, the BMPT-72 will not have those grenade launchers, which kind of sucks, but at the same time, I mean, who really uses them? By the way, thanks again, and I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.